budget requests $31.8 billion to expand production capacity for critical missile stockpiles. Is that correct? 31.8?
I'm looking at $53 billion for munitions acceleration.
Your department has released video after video of things blowing up. None of us doubt the strength of the U.S. military and their ability to do hard things. The questions we should be asking and answering are, what does this cost us and what does it achieve for the American people? Many of these strikes use our best weapons, and we're using a lot of them. We can't make these munitions overnight. Can you tell us how many years specifically is it going to take to replace these systems?
I would defer to the comptroller on the amount. I actually think it's closer to $330 billion in munitions.
How many years to replenish?
I said months.
And then you said years. So we fired years worth of munitions. But, Mr. Secretary, this war is stuck. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. The Iranian regime is in place. The nuclear material still in their hands. Americans are being crushed by higher costs, and it's not clear to them at all what the goal of this war is. Your budget requests 31.
Shalom, Yashar Allah. First and foremost, I'd like to give all glory, honor, and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Chachadash. Double honors to beloved elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. While peace and salutations to all you hopefully like document out there laboring that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Amar from the GMS Boise, Idaho camp. And I'm doing this lesson, based on what we all know has been going on, is that Babylon the Great is running out of missiles, running out of arrows in the sense of conventional warfare. That's your Tomahawk missiles, that's your heat-seeking type missiles that can be controlled from a computer thousands of miles away, because ever since that pilot got shot down over Iranian airspace, they showed that they could shoot down their stealth fighter jets, and they had to go through a whole a slew of rescue operations and secret technology just to get back one pilot. So ever since that pilot went down, they're not flying over Iran with any pilots that can be shot down. That's why they're using these very expensive missiles to shoot into Iran and destroy so-called different military key operations. Like they say, they've won this war like 40 times. But as you see, the Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona was grilling this fucking Pete Hegseth, and this is the same truck that disbanded the military from their veteran leadership as soon as he entered office. And a lot of them, after he gave the speech to the officers, a lot of them openly resigned because they saw where this military was going. They saw the type of leadership that was in office right now, and that there was going to be ultimately, a negative outcome if they were to go hand in hand with this current administration. That's why you had the most generals, lieutenants, majors, captains quit and resign in a short amount of time, because, like I said, they saw where this was going. And Iran is not an enemy that can be defeated by Babylon the Great, nor will it. If anything, it'll be mutual destruction when these nuclear missiles start flying. Because don't think that these other nations aren't going to get hit as well. These are going to be catastrophic events that is going to literally reshape the whole world. And certain places around the world need to get hit randomly by a nuclear missile to start shifting the tectonic plates so that our world can be reshaped into the new world, to the kingdom of Yashar Allah. Because all these land masses and islands that are here right now, there's no guarantee that they're going to be in those exact same positions, which there is no guarantee, because just like the flood reshaped the earth, this second death is going to reshape the earth. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, these things have to happen. Ultimately, Babylon the Great is going to use all of its conventional warfare methods of using missiles, unmanned drones, predator drones, and ultimately they're just going to have to use the nuclear missile, because that's the only weapon they're going to have left to that's strong enough to compete with what they got going on over there. This is Jeremiah 49:7 concerning Edom. This is the current world rulership. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? And that's talking about, the state of Esau right now, because before he was calculated. He went into the logistics of how he can get his soldiers fed, different weapons, staying ahead of the curve, inventing new killing instruments, unaliving instruments, so that they can ultimately continue to dominate these other nations. But now, hey, they're not the big bad bully on the block, because all these other nations have the same technology, and in some cases better, like the Sahid drone that is messing up the Ukrainians. Not to mention, these different Slovakia technologies that Babylon the Great, possesses is not going to be enough for how many enemies they've created. And that's why they're shooting all these missiles, but they're not realizing, that they don't have any factories that can replace them at the same rate that they're shooting them. So that's what the senator was drilling Pete Hegseth about, the head of the Department of War. Well, war is not just shooting things. War is making sure your soldiers are equipped. Make sure that there's an assembly line and a clear modem of communication with everything involved to keep those missiles coming. That's why during World War II, you had regular, let's say an example, refrigerator shops, right? Their whole refrigerator shop was transferred over to making weapons. The car dealership down the line that was making Fords, now they're making tanks, and that's something that was switched over to what's called a wartime economy, where everybody's focused on the war. But you don't have that now, nor do you have the support back home for this war to bring in the unity of the American people to come together to fight a common enemy, because nobody wants to be over there in Iran, so you're not going to get that same support and the propaganda machine that you were able to push during World War II to get all of Babylon the Great into a modem of wanting to produce these weapons. Because as we know, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is in charge of the blacksmith. Let's just say that. This is and I'm gonna bring that to qualify that. This is Isaiah 54, and I'm gonna start at 16. Isaiah 54 and 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So if you understand that Yahweh Bashim Yahushai gives this man the ability to make weapons, that he's also given him, let me reword it like this. He's also in control of when that supply gets cut off. Because Babylon has outsourced everything. They don't make anything at home. Very few things that they make here in home. They usually, get the parts made somewhere else and they assemble them here. But that assembly line has been damaged ever since COVID. So right at the top, Isaiah 54 and 16, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. Because a smith back in the day was known as a blacksmith. And he was the person that hammered out the swords, made the spears, made the arrowheads, made the shields, made the helmets, made all the different armor that goes into ancient warrior garb, So this is an analogy of, your scientists today, your Oppenheimers, those that have the ability to be scientists that create all these weapons. Or Browning that made the Gatling gun. He made the Henry repeating rifle. They say the gun that won the West. All these advanced warfare tactics and machines that this man was able to produce that put him in that position to be the top dominating power in the world. But as you can see, he's in the position of dominating, but you can't keep it. You can't be king of the hill unless you can push everybody else down the hill. That's a game when you played when you were a kid. It's called King of the Hill. There was one person on top and everybody would just kind of rush him at random times, one at a time, and they'd have to get pushed down the hill. He had So this man can't defend his position in the world because Yahweh Bashim Yahushai he turned off the furnace on his ass, man. You know, an ancient analogy, they needed that furnace going. They needed those coals to be able to melt that metal. But now, hey, what's your modern day coals and furnace? That's your factories. That's your computer chip hubs. They can make the technology to even, control these missiles, communicate with these missiles, give these missiles special cameras, antennas. All of that goes into making one missile. Verse 17, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord Yahweh. And that's because ultimately the elect are given mercy from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Chachvadash, because we're going to be, many most highs with the spiritual powers, and whatever weapon this man has, it's not going to be able to stop the elect. And we know that this man is not even able to stop his enemies that he's fighting right now. And he's supposed to be the top dog right now. He's supposed to be the big dog right now, man. The big bully on the block, and he's over here not even able to get his missiles ready in time for how fast he's shooting them off. So I just wanted to bring that to highlight, that this man is a fucking dumbass. He's going to start a war and not even have a plan in place, to keep it going. That's like you saying, hey, I'm going to go on a road trip this direction, but I'm not even going to look to see if there's any gas stations on the way. And you're driving out in the middle of nowhere. How do you expect to keep going if you can't even pass a gas station? That's this man's logic. How can you start a war and say we're going to shoot all these bullets and missiles, but we're going to have nowhere to get them from? And not to mention, before I close out, they sent a lot of their stockpile, their extra shit that they could have used now over to the Ukrainian war that was been going on for pushing 4 years, 5 years now, 6 years, of that conflict going on. And that's been a strategic plan by Russia to drain NATO and the US, and it's working perfectly. So as you can see, this is the effects of it catching up here in 2026, where you got senators bitching out Pete Hegseth of telling them we're not able to replace these things. So again, that just stuck out to me today, when I was online looking for, the Spirit to give me something to do a lesson on, and, this was it. So Lord willing that this lesson was edifying unto the elect. Till next time, I would like to give all glory, honor, and infinite praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Chachadash, and double honors to the beloved elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. While peace and salutations to all you hopeful elect document out there laboring that are pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. Till next time, Lord willing, Shalom.